Well, it looks like there might be a new agreement between FEMA and the Russian Federation, and it involves actually using Russians to provide some type of security at security at mass events in the United States. And this actually is after, say, the bombing of the Boston Marathon. And you notice Vladimir Putin was talking about that. Yeah, we need to really fight together, join forces together to fight these rebels. I'm going to say one thing. Do not trust this egomaniac at all. He doesn't care about the Russian people, and he sure doesn't care about the American people. I'll guarantee you that. He don't even care about his own people. In a lot of ways, I could say Vladimir Putin is to Russia as Obama is to America. He don't care about nothing except his own ego and his own self. But, there comes a time when we basically, you might call this like a foreign invasion. If they're going to have Russians over here to watch over mass events in the United States, it's time to watch them. And, this is going back to the 60s now, basically. We basically put the watchful eye over Putin. And, there's plenty of people, it seems, in the West that seem to be totally snowed by this guy, this egomaniac. But he has absolutely no goodwill for the American people, and he doesn't really have it for the Russian people. But he would screw over the American people and give it to the Russian people to keep his ass in power. I'll guarantee you that in 2 seconds flat. But basically, he's like Uncle Tom Obama, another traitor. And it's time to wake up and take back your power, man, because, I just hope people realize what Uncle Tom Obama has been. He's been a pawn for the white establishment elite. That's all he is. And I know if there was a black establishment elite or a Latino establishment elite or a Chinese but, in the United States, it's basically a European heritage type establishment elite, which I ain't on the side of. I'm against those pieces of crap, just like I'm against Uncle Tom Obama and Vladimir Putin. But it's time that in the United States, we need to watch. We need to watch carefully over Vladimir Putin and his policies using Russian troops in coordination with the white establishment in the United States to basically micromanage people that are in sporting events and mass events in the United States. This is not America when you're having this type of stuff. This is America, and these are freedom fighters. There's one thing I always thought about, even in Black Panther Party, which you can consider a radical party. But, there's times to be radical. There's times to be radical, especially when you're fighting for your own rights. But, this becomes down to American rights versus people coming from a foreign nation and trying to take away our rights. And it looks like they're going to be trying to do this through taking Russian forces. And they're not going to be dressed like this. They're not going to be coming in here with Kalashnikov rifles. They're probably going to be wearing suits. They're probably going to be wearing regular everyday clothes, but they're going to be working together with FEMA and, Homeland Security and all this type of stuff. Maybe not FEMA, but Homeland Security. And basically, it could be FEMA, though, too. I mean, I don't know what federal agency, but it'll be at the federal level. And this is total bullshit, to tell you the truth. So, it's like they propose this, and they do it in increments. That's exactly how they do it. You're not going to see stormtroopers like this walking down the street. Hey, get in line and stuff. No, they're not going to do it that way. They're going to do it in slow little steps. Start a precedent. Oh, look at it, something in historical. Oh, we kind of did it that way, so let's add this. But I'm going to say this. The United States is about freedom and freedom of expression. And I had to edit this picture a little bit to make sure it's YouTube compliant. But, freedom of expression means body ink, jewelry, and doing your own thing. So freedom of expression is what the United States is about. And, if you want to go to church like this, dressed in this attire, that's fine, too. Maybe they won't accept that in Russia. It's happened with Pussy Riot. They don't like them dancing in church. I don't give a damn, But, it depends on the church. But, in my church, I'd allow it, that's for sure. But anyway, Vladimir Putin needs to be watched carefully because it seems like he snowed a lot of the Americans to thinking that he's some kind of guy against the New World Order. Nah, he's all for Vladimir Putin. So we don't need to be having these guys over here in Russia, from Russia, coming over here in the United States, who have been brought here by Uncle Tom, the traitor Obama, to basically watch Americans case their terrorists. Oh, bullshit, pal. You know? So, I gotta say this, time to fight back. And, hey, maybe we need this party, the Black Panther Party, to run for president of the United States and skip this jackass Obama. The hell with him, man. The guy is a pawn. He doesn't stand for the Bill of Rights. He doesn't stand for the freedoms of America. The guy is a total freaking pawn. The guy is a sellout to the max. So screw him, man. He's just as much screwed up as Vladimir Putin, and they're in cahoots with each other, and they probably can't stand each other, but they're both power-tripping ego freaks. So let's fight for the freedom of the United States, freedom of expression, freedom to wear body ink, jewelry, and do as we please and do what we want. So this is the USA. This ain't Russia.